The year is 1603. Inside Richmond Palace, England's most powerful woman lies dying. Elizabeth Tudor, once called Gloriana, the Virgin Queen who ruled for 45 years, refuses to lie down. For days she sits propped on cushions, her face painted white with lead, her body wasting beneath layers of silk and jewels. Courtiers whisper in the shadows. The throne has no heir. The dynasty hangs by a thread. But this isn't just the story of her death. This is the story of why she never married. Why the most eligible woman in Europe refused every suitor who came calling. Why she allowed her kingdom to teeter on the edge of chaos rather than produce an heir. For 400 years, historians politely suggested she was married to England, that she was too clever, too independent, too devoted to her people. But recently uncovered letters and medical records suggest something darker, something she could never admit, something that made marriage not just undesirable, but impossible. What was Elizabeth hiding? And what price did England pay for her secret? Elizabeth becomes queen on November 17, 1558. She is 25 years old. Her sister Mary has just died, leaving England bitter and divided. Catholics hate Protestants. Protestants hate Catholics. The treasury is empty. Spain threatens invasion. France circles like a wolf. Elizabeth inherits a kingdom on the verge of collapse, and everyone expects her to marry immediately. This isn't a suggestion, it's a demand. A queen without a husband is unnatural, they say. Dangerous. A woman cannot rule alone. She needs a king to make decisions, to lead armies, to produce heirs. Parliament begs her to choose someone. Foreign ambassadors arrive weekly with portraits and proposals. Her own advisors, men she trusts, pressure her relentlessly. At first, she seems to play along. She flirts with suitors. She accepts gifts. She smiles and delays and promises to consider their offers. But she never chooses anyone. The most persistent suitor is Robert Dudley. Tall, handsome, ambitious. They grew up together. Some say they were in love. Elizabeth gives him apartments next to hers at court. She visits him at night. Scandals circulate through London's taverns and churches. People whisper that she's already sleeping with him, that she's pregnant, that she's secretly married. But there's a problem. Dudley is already married. His wife, Amy Robsart, lives quietly in the countryside, far from court. She rarely sees her husband, and in 1560 she's found dead at the bottom of a staircase with a broken neck. The timing is too perfect. Suspicion falls immediately on Dudley and Elizabeth. Did they arrange the murder so they could marry? Ambassadors write home reporting the rumors. Elizabeth's reputation crumbles. To marry Dudley now would confirm everyone's darkest suspicions. She cannot do it. She will not do it. So she waits and waits. Years pass. Dudley eventually marries someone else in secret. Elizabeth rages when she finds it out, but she never marries him. She never marries anyone. By the 1570s, she's in her 40s, too old to have children safely, according to the medicine of the time. Yet she still refuses to name an heir. Her cousin, Mary Queen of Scots, waits in prison, claiming the throne. Catholic conspirators plot Elizabeth's assassination. The kingdom grows anxious. What happens when Elizabeth dies? The question haunts her council. Why won't she marry? What is she hiding? Some historians point to her childhood. Her father, Henry VIII, beheaded her mother, Anne Boleyn, when Elizabeth was only 2 years old. She watched him marry 6 times, discarding wives when they failed to produce sons. She saw her stepmother, Catherine Howard, executed for adultery. She witnessed her sister Mary's humiliating marriage to Philip of Spain, a man who despised her and left England the moment he could. Marriage, for Elizabeth, meant danger. It meant losing power. It meant becoming property. But recent medical historians suggest something more physical, something Elizabeth herself may not have fully understood. Letters from foreign ambassadors describe disturbing details. The Spanish ambassador reports that Elizabeth suffers from irregular cycles. The French ambassador mentions rumors about her body, whispers among her ladies-in-waiting. One courtier writes that she fears childbirth more than death itself. In the 16th century, doctors don't understand female anatomy well, but they notice patterns. Some women cannot conceive. Others conceive but miscarry repeatedly. Still others have physical abnormalities that make pregnancy impossible. Did Elizabeth know something was wrong with her body? Did her doctors tell her she could never safely bear children? If she married and failed to produce an heir, she would be humiliated, divorced, possibly executed, like her mother. Better to remain unmarried and blamed for stubbornness than married and blamed for barrenness. There's another possibility, darker still. Some modern medical researchers examining historical descriptions of Elizabeth suggest she may have had a condition called androgen insensitivity syndrome. People with this condition appear female but have internal differences that prevent pregnancy. They often experience irregular development during puberty. Elizabeth's own behavior offers clues. She obsessively controls her image. She wears thick white makeup to hide her skin. She refuses to let anyone see her undressed, even her closest servants. When she bathes, she demands total privacy. Her bedchamber is forbidden territory. In 1579, a marriage proposal arrives from the Duke of Anjou, a French prince. Elizabeth is 46 years old. This is her last realistic chance. Parliament begs her to accept. England needs an heir. The succession crisis grows desperate. She hesitates. She delays. She meets with Anjou and seems charmed. She calls him her frog, affectionately. They exchange love letters. The wedding date is set. And then, quietly, she cancels everything. No explanation. No apology. Just silence. Her advisors are furious. Her people are confused. Elizabeth offers no reason except that marriage doesn't suit her. She says she is married to England, wedded to her kingdom. It becomes her official position. But behind closed doors, some whisper the truth she cannot speak, that marriage was never really an option, that her body held a secret she could never reveal without destroying her authority completely. The years pass. Elizabeth grows older. Her face, once beautiful, becomes a mask of white lead paint and rouge. Her teeth blacken and fall out. Her red wigs grow more elaborate, compensating for thinning hair. She surrounds herself with young courtiers, men who flatter her, who call her beautiful, who pretend she's still the young queen they remember. But England grows anxious. The succession question poisons everything. Catholic plots multiply. In 1586, Elizabeth's advisors uncover the Babington plot, a conspiracy to murder her and place Mary Queen of Scots on the throne. The evidence is overwhelming. Elizabeth has no choice. She signs Mary's death warrant. Mary is beheaded in February 1587. Elizabeth immediately regrets it. She claims she never meant for the warrant to be delivered. She rages at her advisors. She weeps in private. But Mary is dead, and Elizabeth has killed her own cousin to protect a throne she will leave to no one. The 1590s bring darker days. Harvests fail. Plague sweeps through London. Wars in Ireland drain the treasury. Elizabeth's favorite courtier, Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex, leads a rebellion against her. She has him executed too. Another person she loved, destroyed by the crown's demands. By 1603, Elizabeth is 69 years old, ancient by Tudor standards. She's outlived almost everyone she knew. Her teeth are gone. Her voice is weak. She refuses to look in mirrors. The palace feels like a tomb, filled with aging courtiers and fading glory. In March, she falls ill, a cold that becomes a fever. She refuses to go to bed. For days, she sits on cushions, staring at nothing, speaking to no one. Her advisors beg her to name a successor. She won't. She can't. To name an heir is to admit she's dying. Finally, on March 24th, 1603, she dies, alone in her bedchamber at Richmond Palace, the last of the Tudors, the Virgin Queen, who sacrificed everything for her throne and left it empty. Within hours, messengers ride north to Scotland. James VI, son of Mary Queen of Scots, becomes James I of England. The Tudor dynasty ends. The Stuart dynasty begins. Everything Elizabeth fought to protect passes to the son of the woman she executed. The court empties quickly. Courtiers abandon her body, rushing to greet the new king. Within days, Richmond Palace falls silent. The age of Elizabeth is over. Historians will spend centuries praising her. They'll call her reign a golden age. They'll celebrate her intelligence, her political skill, her devotion to England. And they'll quietly ignore the question that haunted her entire life. Why didn't she marry? What was she really hiding? And did that secret cost England more than anyone realized? Elizabeth Tudor lived 70 years and ruled for 45. She survived plots, wars, and rebellions. She turned England into a world power. But she couldn't escape one simple question. Why? Perhaps she truly was married to England, as she claimed. Perhaps her childhood trauma made marriage impossible. Or perhaps her body held a secret she could never admit without losing everything she'd fought for. We'll never know for certain. The doctors who examined her took their knowledge to the grave. The letters that might explain everything were destroyed or lost centuries ago. What we do know is this. Elizabeth chose power over love, solitude over family, and secrecy over vulnerability. She ruled alone in a world that insisted women couldn't. And when she died, she left behind a kingdom transformed, and a mystery that still haunts us 400 years later. The succession crisis. Elizabeth's refusal to name an heir created decades of political instability. Multiple plots and rebellions centered on the succession question. Her eventual successor, James VI of Scotland, was the great-great-grandson of Henry VII, making him a distant Tudor relative through the female line. The Virgin Queen image. Elizabeth carefully cultivated her image as the Virgin Queen, married to England. This became a powerful political tool, allowing her to maintain independence while using potential marriages as diplomatic leverage.